So, life alchemy and confidence. Confidence is the natural outcome from understanding the self creating experience paradigm. Because when we understand that the experiences we're having are self created, we start to recognize the complexity of our minds, of the thinking and beliefs that we have that we're living within. And we start to recognize the uniqueness of that and the absolutely delicious levels of diversity there are in humanity, because we are all living in completely separate realities. Because all of our assumptions about a thing are based on all of that experience and all of that thinking. And another person might have similar assumptions about a thing or a word, might have similar meanings attached, but the depth of it, the nuance of it, you see differences between even the closest people. And that to me is really exciting and really fun, and why it's always, I love hearing about other people's realities, because they're so nuanced and so, I love the differences, I love the diversity. And the thing is, then what's apparent is we're all living in separate realities. We're not actually having an experience of a cup. We're having our own experience of the cup internally, which another person is creating for themselves internally, which is so cool. And it means that all of those ideas about what we think other people think become a bit nuts. Like, it just becomes obvious to us that we could not predict what somebody else is going to think of anything. And that is so liberating in terms of our projected, oh, well, I won't do that because people will think. It's like, people are going to think what they're going to think, and you have no idea what that is. That people will think thing is also multi-layered, because it's not just what somebody's opinion of a thing might be, it's also whether that thing is even visible to them, whether it's something they notice, whether it's something they place emphasis or judgment on. So take, for example, the person at the beach who's wearing, who feels overweight but is wearing a bikini. They might feel like everybody is looking at them and thinking they are overweight and in a bikini, and therefore they aren't attractive, therefore they aren't appropriately dressed. Like, there's so many therefores attached to that, where the reality of somebody else on that beach might be looking at that person thinking, oh my goodness, I wish I was confident enough to wear a bikini. Or, oh my goodness, look at that mum having fun with her kids. That's incredible. That's gorgeous. Or, we sort of like, we don't really recognize the depth of difference in experience in different scenarios, because when we communicate with other people, we look for connection. And it's cool, we assume a lot in common with most people, which is really, really cool, because otherwise we wouldn't bother to try and connect, because we'd see how different our worlds were and we'd just be like, there's no hope. So we assume a lot of similarity, which is really gorgeous, because it allows and encourages us to connect with people. And in connecting, we often look for similarity. So we look for agreement. So we'll pinpoint some tiny little thing and both agree that that thing is either good or bad, to kind of create those connectivity points. Now, that's beautiful in terms of like connecting and having conversation, and like, we can really get in a good space with other people, just like celebrating and delighting or analyzing something. That can be really fun, but it can give us the impression that we know what other people are going to think, or that we know what other people's emphasis of thinking is, which is really bad for feeling good about ourselves in the world, because we're assuming a lot of what other people think. Now, when we see how likely we are to be correct about that, and it's not a truth that that's how things are, it's so liberating. We get to be in ourselves and be comfortable, show up how we are without concern for what other people may or may not think, because we know that we don't have any idea what that is. So that's really, really beautiful. And it leads me on to the other element of confidence is in ourselves and our uniqueness. And when it's tied into the same aspect of this being completely, we are completely unique in our thinking and in our experience of the world. And when we understand that, when we start to glimpse the truth of that, we start to realize there isn't a right or wrong way to show up. And we can start to validate how we are and how we want to show up, because those comparisons that we used to make don't make any sense anymore. Comparing when realities aren't the same becomes pointless, becomes it just doesn't make sense to compare or believe that we have to fit into a box of any description. So that's the other part that's really beautiful that I wanted to touch on, which is this, the natural confidence part is really being able to start celebrating how we show up in the world, and less criticism internally of what, and sort of therefore holding back of what we feel we need to be or we want to be in the world. Like that to me is a really beautiful element, because we can express what we feel, knowing that there isn't a version we're supposed to be, there isn't a thing we're supposed to feel or a thing we're supposed to think, because everybody's world's built completely uniquely. And that appreciating that diversity is one of the things that's allowed me to feel much more comfortable to just be me in the world and bring my truth and share that with the world, which just is really, I love seeing other people do that. I love being in that space, and I delight in anybody who is enjoying being their version of humanity in the world. And it's such a delight to experience the truth of that and have that natural confidence, which is not based on a comparison with somebody else, but rather bedded in the diversity of humanity that exists and the delight and the beauty of that. I really hope that something in this video has been helpful for you, and please just get in touch or have a look what other videos I've got out. Yeah, I'd love to hear from anyone on thoughts on this or arguments with me. Like hell, I love to hear if someone's got a very different opinion or a different idea of how it works, because I find all of this fascinating, and I'm just sharing the liberation that I've discovered, and I love sharing with the rest of the world. Thanks very much for watching.